What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah, and you're watching this video on Sunday, August 16th, 2026 at 10:50 a.m. MST. And this week, Jesus, Nick, my grandpa, and my mom are my extra, and I am the ordinary. Obviously, as way too many people to speak my heart to personally, but God is so incredibly good. At these junctures of time, He so pursues my heart in love to encourage me that He's with me, that He speaks my love language to my heart in an overflow of His goodness to me that just absolutely blows my mind. Now, clear back in 2023 in January, as we were doing our fast, Nick had come to me in that second breakthrough night and had asked me what the Lord was speaking to me in that moment. I made my video mature and complete, where I outlined everything that had happened in that encounter. You can go back and watch that video. But as a result of what Nick imparted to me, I made my video. My mom had watched that video on Friday, February 3rd, 2023, just before the launch of season 4 of Extraordinary Life with Elijah, and it reminded her of what God had told her at my grandpa Barnes's funeral. Clear back in March of 1980, my parents were getting ready to travel to Greensburg, Indiana to celebrate my grandpa's 50th birthday. And as they were getting ready, they got the call that notified them that my grandpa had been killed in a head-on collision. He was killed on Friday, March 7th, 1980, 4 days before his 50th birthday on March 11th, 1980, and 5 months before I was born. Previous to his funeral, there was a viewing of the body, as was so common during that time period. And at that viewing, there were over 3,000 people who came to his funeral and wrote stories and encouraging words and memories in his funeral guest book. At that time, it was very easily over 25% of Greensburg's entire population came out to pay their respects to my grandpa and to give their condolences to my grandma Barnes. My grandpa was an incredibly powerful man and was a man of destiny who intentionally reached out to the people around him with the love and the hope of Jesus as exemplified in his life. He was larger than life and was friends with everybody. He was the kind of guy that you either loved or hated, but most loved. My grandpa was a powerful man of destiny, and as a result, darkness thought that it was a great idea to reach out its hand to kill, steal, and destroy. But what the enemy intended for evil, God has worked together for good. At my grandpa's funeral, my mom received a word from the Lord. She said at that time in her life that she wasn't hearing directly and clearly from God's Spirit, but that God spoke to her through His written word and gave her the word, unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it will not bear much fruit. She had never told me that word before. She had never shared that memory with her. The Lord would bring that to her remembrance all throughout her life from that point on. But until she sat down and watched the video mature and complete, that was birthed as a result of Nick serving to please the Father's heart with the exercise of His gifts to impart grace to me that I can know the Father more. And then she sat down and watched it. She was reminded of this word and called to tell me what God had said at her father's funeral. Now, here's the crazy thing. She and I received that word at the same time because I was present at my grandpa's funeral. God was knitting me together in the secret space of my mother's womb. And as she received this spiritual word from the Lord, bread of life being given to her in the midst of affliction, her provision of the Father in the valley of the shadow, and as she chewed it, that she swallowed it, she accepted the word and let it become a part of her. What my mother was eating in the Spirit was knit into the very fibers of my person. Fam, that's what I declared at the beginning of Extraordinary Life with Elijah, that out of the covenant faithfulness of my parents together, that expression of their 49th wedding anniversary, that I am the overflow, the fruit of their covenant intimacy, and that I declared that at the beginning of Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And I never knew these things until my mom called me as a result of Nick standing up and walking from the back of our sanctuary to tap me on the shoulder and say, "What's God showing you right now?" Fam, it's incomprehensible. The goodness of God overflowing to express his love to me in this moment, that it's so beautiful that God keeps highlighting this thing where I make up the missing days in people's destinies by adding to the faithfulness of their life and adding to the beauty of what God had to do in them. And likewise, God bringing people into my life, Josiah, to make up the missing elements in my life, to build me up into the fullest expression of Jesus. Oh, it's so good. It's too much to try to remember. My mom, get this, my mom said that what had been planted in me was a courageous hope in the resurrection power of Jesus to bring forth abundance, redemption, and multiplied fruitfulness past the sting of death, and that this was worked into the very substance of my being. God knit this word into the substance of my being as I was being formed in the secret space at my grandpa's funeral. It's just like God recorded a video expression in the secret space as a remembrance within me to await the appointed time to encourage my heart here for August 16th, 2026, being recorded at the beginning of season 4 in 2023. Going back to my roots, I will boast of my father. I love to boast about my father, and I will do it more. My grandpa Barnes was buried on Monday, March 10th, 1980. And so the first full day that the seed of his life was planted in the ground was on Remembrance Day, Tuesday, March 11th, 1980. Hold on. 3/11 is my wife's birthday. I began relationship with her on her birthday, which redeemed the hurt of a past boyfriend breaking up with her on her birthday. Loss and redemption. And then 3.5 years later, to the day, on 9/11, my wife and I got married. Redemption again. 9/11 is my anniversary and my sister's birthday. It is not a day of remembrance of death. It's an expression of a celebration of life and adoption and of covenant intimacy. And then Ruby May's birthday is on 3/11. My first gifted video was to Ryan and April on RMS Day, and it includes the verse, "Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it cannot bear much fruit." At the end of that video, there was the beginning of season 7 on RMS Day, and my birthday, and Grace's, the little girl that was resting beside Ruby May, that then I discovered while making that video. My grandpa dying at 49, and the first and last episode of Extraordinary Life with Elijah being on my parents' 49th anniversary. Me declaring in that video what God was doing was flowing out of their covenant faithfulness before I knew any of all of this, and that I was at my grandpa's funeral when he was still 49 years old. God leading me back to Indiana to celebrate the passing of my last living grandparent, Grandpa Scheidler, at the halfway mark exactly of Extraordinary Life with Elijah, and that I got to record it on Remembrance Day, November 11th, on my grandpa's land, which is 11 acres that he paid $11,000 for in the gazebo that he built, that was still standing, that was protecting me from the rain and the elements. And that my very first video, I'm holding it together, is called In Loving Remembrance. Something that was stated in the secret, in the dark, in a context of laying my life down. And now all of this coming at me at the start of season 4. My grandpa's passing was 4 days before his 50th birthday. Here I am again, blessed to add to the beauty of another person's life, their faithfulness before God, that I get to be the extra to their ordinary life of faith. I'm recording this video for you at 42 years and 11 months exactly from when my grandpa was planted in the ground. God gave me the original dream for Extraordinary Life with Elijah and the light, and he said, as easy as 1, 2, 3, now 3, 2, 1, go. In another March 17th revelation, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. In another March 17th revelation, it was of a bride who was making bread, and in that revelation, it was 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That the wrecking ball of God's love that's swinging back and forth and back and forth throughout all of time and eternity is wrecking all of the works of the devil in the manifest revelation of his goodness and love. The destiny of my grandpa that was being expressed in reaching out to 3,000 people who came to express their love to him, and that darkness came in and cut off, that the abundant life of Christ is coming to redeem, to restore, and to reinvent in the expression of his grandson, who was present at his funeral, to not just reach out to 3,000 people, but to billions. I've always seen God's goodness in the midst of very dark things. I see his beauty in the negative images of the world. It's here in the darkness that God has developed the image of his goodness and glory in me. So what's my encouragement? You're looking at it. The grace of God revealed in and through me as I have arisen to shine, to let my good works shine before you, empowers you to see the goodness of my Father working all of his redemptive ways in and through me, through my family, to impart grace to you so that you can know him more. My Father causes all things to work together for the good of those who love him and have been called according to his purposes. I'm serving to please my Father's heart through the exercise of my gifts to impart grace to you so that you can know him more. And as I have labored away in the secret space, being very content in the production of my content. Here I am 3.5 years in the future, revealing and imparting to you the grace of God. Where the devil has broke in to kill, steal, and destroy, Jesus has come to impart life and life more abundantly. Where my grandfather was reaching out and touching the lives of 3,000 people, now his grandson is reaching out to touch the life of billions. Way to go, Grandpa. Way to go, Nick. Way to go, Mom. Way to go, Jesus. I honor your lives of faithfulness. And in the ordinary expression of your gifts and pleasing our Father's heart, where you have done well, I have done better. I'm honored to be the extra to your ordinary lives, and all honor, glory, and praise goes to our Father. If you subscribe to what I am doing, then hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you loved this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on our lives together. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video, which starts now. That is 25 minutes, 25 seconds. I love precision. Now, your video is not going to be 25 minutes, 25 seconds. This will be a lot that I added out of that. My Father's ways are beyond perfection. They absolutely cause my brain to melt. I've been cataloging them all, asking my mom questions. Hey, Mom, clarify this date. No way. What else do you know that you aren't telling me? She hadn't told me, but words await an appointed time. It was time. Now to jump into the start of season 4. God is so good. He told me to wear the same outfit that I wore and in starting this, that I have that same sense of covenanting all over again, this like giddy sense of holy cow. Start of season 4, here it comes. Man, 6 more months. My goodness. He is so good. So romancing my heart. All right, enough of that. Onwards and upwards. What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And today, you are my extra, and I am the ordinary.